Hi, I'm Ashleigh, and welcome to the Big Crystal Energy Podcast. This is a place for the crystal curious, arcane-minded, and everything in the in-between. In this podcast, we will jump down the rabbit hole into the metaphysical, esoteric, occult, and spiritual realms. Nothing is off limits. I'm a mom, wife, an orthopedic physician assistant by day, and a seeker of all things spooky and kooky by night. I've spent my entire career in the medical field, but have always felt like there is more out there, and this is where we will explore together. We will have conversations with crystal healers, rock hounds, artists, musicians, spiritual coaches, magic makers, and anything woo-woo that strikes our fancy. Let's take our spiritual journey to the next level. So grab a crystal, pour a cup of tea. It's time to feel the big crystal energy. Hello, welcome back to Big Crystal Energy. I am Ashleigh, your favorite kooky spooky host, and I am so excited because today is the Salem episode. And if you heard my episode from last year when we went as a family, this is just a more elevated version of that. But I went to a retreat and I just wanted to share my experience, my takeaways. It was so expansive for me. I've been on this huge spiritual journey for the past, I would say, about 3 years. And I have learned so much along the way. I've met so many incredible people along the way. I feel like I am such a different version of myself from the person I was 3 years ago to the person I am today. And even since my trip to Salem last year, there has been a huge evolution in who I am. So this was a really beautiful experience. I, first and foremost, just want to say thank you to my husband for taking such good care of our children while I was away. I've never really left both of them with him just the three of them together for so long. I was gone for an entire week. So that was big for all of them. And he did a beautiful job. The kids had a great time. And it just felt amazing that I have a spouse that lets me be me and knows that I need to take a break sometimes from the chaos of life. You know, my life is very busy outside of this podcast. As many of you probably already know, I'm a full-time orthopedic physician assistant, doing surgery, doing hospital rounding, clinic patients. It's a highly demanding job. And then also having the kids and the podcast and trying to build community and business out of this as well. So it felt really good to just have some time to get away and do this retreat and meet some expansive people and actually feel like I was around my people. So thank you, John, for being there for me. And I understand that not everybody is in a situation where they could go to a retreat like this. Not everybody has a spouse that's either supportive or that's willing to let them go, or that they can afford it financially or whatnot. But this retreat was 1.5 years in the planning. It was not something that I did on a whim. And I am just so beyond grateful for the experience. Now, the way that I want to structure this podcast episode is that I don't want to just give you a play-by-play of every single thing I did on the trip, because I feel like that's kind of boring. And so I do want to kind of give you a brief rundown of what my trip looked like as far as kind of like the itinerary. And then I want to expand on a lot of the lessons and experiences that were highly impactful for me. And I think that there's like a lot of messages that anyone that's listening to this podcast could take away from this experience that I went through. I have traveled solo many times in my life. I know some people that have not traveled solo. So for me, getting out the door and just going and doing this felt okay. I have never gone to a retreat by myself, ever. This is actually my first retreat that I've ever attended. So I did feel a little bit nervous about it. But at the same time, I was at a conference a few weeks ago in Scottsdale, which I did an episode with my friend Stephanie about the Powerhouse Women's Conference. And to me, that almost felt more stressful because I was around so many different types of women and they all have these thriving businesses, and you know, it was just a lot of networking. And so to me, this felt less intimidating because I knew that I was going to be around other women that have all similar interests to me. And we weren't there to network. We were just there to show up and be ourselves and connect and have fun, enjoying things that we all connect over. So it was a totally different vibe. So I felt very comfortable going, and I knew that it was going to be a safe space to share things and to just be ourselves. Whereas Powerhouse, didn't really know what to expect. And it was amazing too, but it was totally different. It was a totally different vibe. But I just want to start this with kind of giving a rundown of what I did. I was gone for a week and I got in on a Wednesday. I stayed at this place in Salem called the Coach House. It is a gorgeous hotel. Well, it looks like it's an old house that was converted into a hotel. The rooms are just beautiful. It's old. It has this old kind of spooky vibe. It's in walking distance to many different things. And more than anything, it just felt so nice to have a space to myself where I didn't have chaos around me. It was just me. I had my own room. I had my own space. It was peaceful. It was just, oh my gosh, it was just so lovely. The first day I got in late from my travels from the West Coast to the East Coast. You know, there's a 3-hour time difference. I decided that I was going to drop off my stuff and I wanted to take myself out to a nice dinner. So I did that. And then it was dark out after I got done with dinner and my restaurant was in downtown Salem. So I just decided to take a little stroll around downtown. I felt very safe. There were a lot of other people walking around, but it wasn't crowded. It was, you know, probably 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. There were a lot of other tour groups going on. And so I just kind of strolled around and I walked to one of the cemeteries that's in downtown Salem and just kind of sat there and looked out and enjoyed, you know, looking at the moon, looking at everything around me and just being really present in the moment and just being like, wow, you know what? I'm here and I'm by myself and I'm having this expansive journey and it's just about ready to start. So I didn't want to stay up too late because I know that there's a 3-hour time difference. And the next morning, first thing, I had an appointment with a photographer in Salem. Her name is Courtney Brooke, also known as, she's at the Light Witch on Instagram. And she is just an absolutely stunning, incredible photographer. And I had a whole vision of what I wanted to do, but she elevated my vision so much beyond what I thought was even possible. I really wanted the photography to focus on her skills rather than just like my outfits and stuff. And so I'm not going to share too much beyond this, other than working with her was an absolute dream. I felt so confident and comfortable with her. She was such a cool person and she made me feel so stunning. And oh my gosh, I can't wait to see the pictures. I can't wait to share the pictures with you all. Oh, chef's kiss. It was absolutely the best. If you're ever in the Salem area and you just want like gorgeous, magical photos of yourself, can't recommend enough. Then right after that, I grabbed something to eat and I had an appointment with Alexis Valentine, also known as, she's on Instagram at Witch Tats, because I wanted to get my Headless Horseman tattoo. So I bopped over there. I got my tattoo, it's the tarot death card with the Headless Horseman. And for me, it was just, it's not a sick, well, people that read tarot know that the death card does not mean that you're actually going to die. It means, to me, it means like the death of my old self in the way that I am evolving. I am, you know, I'm stepping into the person that I have always meant to be. And then I'm putting that side of myself that no longer serves me. I'm putting that away. And I am just elevating myself to the next level. The Headless Horseman, as I've talked about in previous episodes, is just a character that I've always connected with since I was a small child. When we used to watch the 1949 version of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow from Disney, my cousins and I were obsessed with that cartoon. And for whatever reason, I have just had this attachment to the Headless Horseman almost my whole life. And so I felt that would be something that would be cool to get there in Salem. And of course, I love tarot, so I wanted to incorporate it with the tarot card. So I'll have to share a picture of my tattoo on social media because it turned out even better than what I was imagining. So I couldn't be more happy about that. That evening, you know, it was a really long day, so I was tired, but my photographer, Courtney, had suggested a restaurant in Salem called Bernadette. It was a more high-end restaurant. And so I took myself out on a fancy date to Bernadette, and that felt amazing. And then I just went back to the hotel and relaxed because I was exhausted. And Friday is when the retreat would start, but not until the afternoon. So Friday morning, I got up at a decent time. I had left all of my toiletries in California. So that was fun when I had to like scramble out and spend way too much money on toiletries from CVS. But in the morning on Friday, I got up and I just took myself on a little walk and I went and got some breakfast. And then I went back to the hotel and got ready and did some shopping on my own in Salem. It was so fun because I went and got to meet John Kozik from the Salem Witchboard Museum. He's going to I've already interviewed him for the podcast, but that episode's coming out in October. I was able to go check out some of my stores that I've been kind of obsessing over and revisit some stores that I really enjoyed from last year. It was a random occurrence, but my cousin Kayla, she happened to be passing through Salem on that Friday. So we met up. We only had like 15 minutes to chat on a street corner because I had to leave because the retreat started at 4:00. So I headed back to the coach house, and Natasha, who is the retreat host, she was there with a couple other of the kind of like the co-hosts that were there with her, and they were getting everything set up for our first dinner. And so that was really fun. And then everybody started coming in, everybody was arriving. And then in the evening, we all had just kind of a simple meal, and we did like an icebreaker. And I really connected with a few other women right from the get-go. Shout out to Kelly, Taylor, and Justine. Hey, we just instantly connected. So we decided that the next morning we were just going to meet up, all four of us, and we were going to walk to downtown Salem, which is where we were going to be meeting up for our Salem tour. We had a private tour with Melissa, who is, she has her own touring company called Now Age Tours in Salem, and her wife owns House Witch, which is just one of the absolute best stores in Salem, hands down. So we met up outside of House Witch and went on this beautiful tour around Salem. She just gave us so much history, and she just gave us so much of the vibe of the area. And it was really a nice tour. And we ended the tour in a cemetery and did a small ritual, which just felt really cool. The retreat, if you wanted to, you could go to a private screening of Hocus Pocus at the movie theater there in Salem. But, me and the other three girls that I was hanging out with, we've already seen Hocus Pocus a million times. So we decided that we would prefer to just go get some lunch and just do a little bit of shopping before the evening activities. So that's what we did. And in the evening, we had what was called a Zodiac dinner. So everybody had to dress up as their Zodiac sign in some way. And oh my gosh, some of the girls, they just went all out. It was so fun seeing everybody dressed up. My outfit was my initial outfit that I had ordered, which was going to be perfect. I didn't try it on until the night before I left. And it said it was a size small. I've always been a size small. That was a size for a child. And it was so tiny. I was like, what adult could ever wear this? So what size small adult could ever wear this? So that didn't work out. So I had to kind of scramble at the last minute and put something else together, which was fine. It was still cute, but some of the girls, oh my gosh, their costumes were just absolutely next level. So that was a big day, on Saturday. Sunday, was rainy. It was kind of gloomy and rainy in Salem. We walked from the coach house down to the Hocus Pocus house, Danny and Max's house from Hocus Pocus. We got some photos. There's like a village there where they did some of the filming for the Hocus Pocus, but it was closed because of the rain and everything. And then we had the afternoon to go shopping. And I had caught wind that this store in Salem, the owner, Kim, had been on her Instagram earlier or that morning and was like, hey, if you come in and you spend X amount of dollars and then you go to the cashier when you're checking out, you say Labubu me, I'll give you a Labubu. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, we have to go to Nocturne right away because I need to bring home a Labubu. So we went, and it worked out perfectly because there was a dress there by a local dressmaker that I really wanted, and I was able to get it. And I ended up getting a skull panda instead of the Labubu because we don't have a skull panda. And I thought that would be more fun to bring home anyway. And a couple of the other girls that I was with, they were able to get Labubus as well. Or I think one other girl got another skull panda. I'm not sure, but we were able to do that. And I was able to get photos with the shop owner and John Kozik's partner, Mandy. She also works there at Nocturne. Oh my gosh. And I forgot to mention the day before a couple days before, when I had been doing my solo shopping at Nocturne, I walked in and this woman that wrote a book that I'm really enjoying called There Lies a Vengeful Bitch. Her name's Cody Crowley. She was working there at the counter, and I was like, oh my gosh, Cody, that's so crazy. So I got a photo with her too. So I was like having a lot of really dorky moments asking people to take photos with me, but I don't care. Who cares? I have the photos. It's an amazing memory for me, and everybody likes being recognized. Let's be real. So I was able to also buy another copy of her book, and she was able to sign it for me. And that was really special. So back to Sunday, we had our shopping, and then we had a full moon ritual. It was a full moon that night and a lunar eclipse. But since it was raining, we couldn't really see the moon, but we had a full moon ritual that night. And after the ritual, we went back to the hotel and we all kind of sat around and worked with Ouija boards. I had bought a Salem edition Ouija board from the Salem Witch Word Museum. So me and some of the girls were working with the Ouija board, and then we just kind of stayed up late and were chit-chatting. Monday, we had a photographer that was on the trip with us, and she did like a coven photo shoot for us. So we got group photos, we got individual photos. I wore the new dress that I got from Nocturne, which was perfect. And then we had some free time. We had dinner, me and the girl, like a few of the other girls, we had dinner downtown. And then we had a private aura photography session at House Witch, which was really cool. Everybody got their aura photo taken. And then Melissa, who also led our tour a few days prior, she did the class with us on the aura photography, and then she explained everybody's auras. And that was just really neat to see. And Justine, which is one of the girls I really connected with, her and our auras were almost exactly the same. And I thought that was so cool. So we got a picture of us holding up our aura photos together. And then Tuesday was checkout. So everybody just said their goodbyes, and then I left, and then I went to a couple other shops that I had been wanting to see that I just didn't have time to. I went back to the Black Veil, which I visited last year, which is just one of the most incredible shops in all of Salem. The owners just decorate that place so incredibly. They also have a smaller location downtown, but the big store is just where it's at. I got these earrings from there, these Victorian hand with the planchette. I got this Victorian hand necklace from Nocturne. So that's kind of been my vibe lately. And then, after I did my little shopping, I decided to head over towards Boston, because my hotel for that night was going to be near the airport for easy departure on Wednesday morning. And as I was realizing, my hotel was in walking distance to the beach. So I decided to take a few items and walk to the beach and just spend some time at the beach, journaling, looking out at the ocean, having just some meditation. And then I had found a beautiful restaurant overlooking the ocean that I went and had my final meal there. And it was just so beautiful. And then I got up on Wednesday morning and left and flew home, and it's just been wild ever since. Hey, sorry to interrupt, but I have something you need to hear. Have you been feeling a shift, a pull towards something more? Whether you're manifesting new opportunities, confidence, or a major glow up, the universe is listening, and I've got just the thing. In a crystal clarity call, I'll intuitively select 3 crystals to support your manifestations, pull a tarot or oracle card for deeper guidance, and craft custom journal prompts to help you take action. It's more than a reading, it's an energetic roadmap. So if you're ready to align with your highest self, DM me on Instagram at mystical.mama.ash for details and pricing. Let's bring your magic to life. I finally today unpacked my suitcase. So I have yet to unpack all my goodies that I bought. I know, I think a lot of people would love for me to do an unboxing of all of the stuff that I bought in Salem, but also at the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's kind of, I bought a lot of stuff, guys. I like really splurged. But I love supporting small businesses. There's things there that you just cannot get other places. And to me, it's worth it because it's stuff that I use all year long. It's jewelry, it's clothing, knickknacks, incense, just all these cool special things that you just can't get anywhere else. So to me, it's worth it. But I'll tell you what, more than anything, I've had so many takeaways. He's not in here. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Sorry, guys. I'm recording. My mom's here. My son is here. Everybody keeps trying to bust into my podcast room. I've already had to restart recording this episode because of interruptions, and I'm just trying to get through it. Oh my goodness. Life is lifing. Let me just say that. Nobody seems to get that when my podcasting door is closed and I'm talking and I'm podcasting, that means that you shouldn't just keep coming in and interrupting me, because I can't just hit pause. Thank good for well, actually, Riverside used to have a pause feature, but now all of a sudden that pause feature is gone. So I don't really know. I don't know what happened there, but that kind of bothers me because the pause was very nice. Then when I would get interrupted, then I could just, I could just continue on later. So let's see here. I have a bunch of notes. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the takeaways from this retreat or my time away as a mom. And these come in no particular order. I was doing some journaling about this when I was on the plane flying back from Boston. And these are just some of the things that really came to the forefront of my mind. Number one, I think there's probably a lot of moms that listen to this podcast. So as a mother, it is okay to take time away from your family to fill your cup. That does not mean that you have to go to a retreat. That does not mean that you have to go somewhere expensive. Maybe you just go and get a hotel room in your hometown for a night. But it is okay to take time away from your family. You do not need to feel guilty for that in any sense of the word. I know that it can be hard, but I'm not talking about logistics. I'm just saying that it is okay. You're still a good mom if you take time for yourself. I think you're a better mom if you take time for yourself, because I came back from this trip and my cup was so full. I just felt so happy. I made new friends, which was like a huge part of what I was looking for. I had that time to myself to just breathe. I could just be myself. I didn't have to be a mom. And that felt so freeing. So it's okay. It's okay. Whatever that looks like for you. No one needs to understand your journey other than you. I had a lot of people ask me, well, what kind of retreat is this? I would say to some, I would be very honest with some and say, it's a witchy retreat. It's a wellness retreat. To other people, I would say maybe I would just say it's a wellness retreat, or it's a spiritual retreat, or something like that. You don't owe an explanation to anyone about your path. Think about it. Do you walk around asking everybody else like what their spiritual journey is? No, nobody needs. If you want to share your path with someone because you feel like you want to connect with someone about it, that's beautiful. That's amazing. But you don't owe anyone an explanation for your path. But I can tell you, when I met with these other women that were on a similar path to mine, it felt amazing. Amazing, because to be honest, where I live and the people that are around me most of the time, none of them share the same spiritual path that I'm on. And that's okay, because everybody's journey is different. Number 3, push yourself outside of your comfort zone. It's probably going to be less painful than what you think it will be. I shared a little bit earlier that I was I can't remember. Did I share that on this? Oh my gosh, I'm having a complete brain freeze. Well, if I didn't share it earlier on when I was talking, I'm going to share it now, or I'm going to share it again. Since I had to start over from the beginning. I don't remember what I shared in the first 7 minutes of what I was saying before that got deleted, or on this one. But it was pushing myself out of my comfort zone to go to this retreat because I've never been to a retreat before. I didn't know what kind of women were going to be there. I didn't know if they were going to be like super woo-woo and out there. I didn't know if they were going to be advanced practitioners or newbies. I had no idea what to expect. So it was a little nerve-wracking, but it's so good to push yourself beyond your limits because you will find that you unlock a part of you that you probably never even knew existed. I have been trying so hard lately to push myself out of my comfort zone because it always feels so empowering when I do. And often it's not as bad as what I originally thought it would be. Find like-minded women to connect with. It's extremely expansive. I got very... over the past several years, I got very conflicted about friendships. I mean, I have my friends, of course, and I love my friends, but it's hard sometimes when the people that are around you are on a different journey than you. And so sometimes it's very nice to have friends that are on a similar journey to you. That doesn't disregard the friendships that you already have. But if you want to find people that are like you, you have to make the effort to do it. And that's why I wanted to go on this retreat, because I felt like I would make some friends that shared similar interests and a similar spiritual path to me. So that would be something that we could talk about going forward. And I've discovered other friends that through other things that have different spiritual journeys that look different than mine, but there are overlapping commonalities. And just creating a few, even like 1 or 2 or 3 new friendships can be so expansive, especially if you and those people feel super aligned. It is truly the best thing. That is the biggest gift I have given myself in the past year, is exploring new friendship options, bringing new people into my world. Most of the people, all these new friendships that I've been making, none of them live near me, but with modern technology, we can voice memo each other. We can chat through video chats. We can connect on social media. There's just so many ways that we can keep talking and keep the conversation going to make us feel like we're all together, even though physically we're not. But that's okay, because most of us are so busy with our lives and our work that we wouldn't be able to get together one-on-one that often anyway. So just keeping up the conversation is still so fun. Number 5, treat yourself. As moms, sometimes that can be very hard. We like to pour into our families. We like to pour into our children. We often put ourselves on the back burner. This trip was a total treat myself moment. That's why I signed up for the photo shoot. That's why I got the specific tattoo that I wanted. That's why I took myself shopping. That's why I took myself out for fancy meals. That's why I did the things that I wanted, because I felt like as a mom, I'm allowed to treat myself once in a while. That's okay. If you can, stay somewhere nice. It doesn't have to be a 5-star hotel, but just somewhere that feels nice to you, whether that's a hotel, whether that's an Airbnb, whatever. Just stay somewhere nice once in a while. Even if it's a nicer hotel in your town, just allow yourself to get away and have a beautiful place to stay that's outside your own home. The coach house was part of our retreat. Everybody from the retreat stayed there. I extended a couple nights because I wanted that extra time before the retreat started, just so I could have some space to clear my mind before the retreat, because I knew it was going to be a very expansive experience. Just stay somewhere that feels luxurious to you, because what feels luxurious to one person may feel different to another person. And I know I'm a hotel snob, so I'm not the best person to talk to about this. I like a fancy hotel, and I'm not embarrassed to say that. I like bougie travel. I like to live my life to the fullest. As you guys, if you know me, you know I'm always traveling. You know where I'm always lugging my kids all over the world. That's just that's like high priority to me. I don't care about fancy cars. I don't care about fancy purses. I don't need a fancy house, but I do love fancy life experiences. That's for sure. Number 7, allow yourself to be vulnerable around other people and be accepting of what they have to offer you. I had a moment where we were sitting around. I'm just going to be really vulnerable about this. I had a moment where we were sitting around the table at night and everybody was just sharing different things. And I don't really remember exactly how this all came to be, but something came up and I said something about this podcast and I downplayed it. And one of the girls totally called me out on that. And she's like, how come you always downplay your podcast? And I was like, oh my gosh, I totally do. She's like, yeah, every time you bring it out, you're like, yeah, but it's not that big or whatever. She's like, you should really own it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I literally just started bawling like instantly. Like it was like a flood of tears. I could not stop crying. After our conversation that night, I went back to my room. I was still crying. I called my husband. He was like, he was being just so amazing on the phone. He's like, you do so much. You don't even recognize all the things that you do. He was giving me, he was just giving me a little pep talk too. He's like, your podcast is doing so good. He's like, it's just really impressive and all these things. And I was like, wow, I think it's just so often that we don't take a moment to appreciate or recognize all the things that we're doing. And it was like, wow, she called me out in the absolute best way because it made me realize that I am downplaying myself so often. Because sometimes it can be hard to I'm losing my words. It can be hard to feel seen. And sometimes, especially when you are working in a spiritual space or you're talking about things that are not necessarily so mainstream, you can feel a sense of judgment from other people, or you can feel like friends or family members or whatnot are not supportive, or they don't understand, or there's not really much acknowledgement a lot of the time. And so that can make you feel like you have to keep playing small because it's just not being acknowledged. And it made me realize that I don't need to keep playing small, that I'm doing big things, and that this is basically just the beginning for me. So that was probably the moment of the retreat that I will never forget. That was one of the biggest breakthroughs that I've had in a very long time. So thank you, Taylor, for that. And the women were so incredibly supportive. And gosh, it just hit me to the core. It really did. It really hit me to the core. And hold space for other people too. A lot of things at this retreat, people were sharing such personally vulnerable moments, but it felt so safe to share. And it felt so safe to receive those messages too. And just, it was so emotional. I am not usually a crier, but oh my gosh, I cried so much over those few days. My eyes felt so swollen and puffy by the time I got back to California after that trip. Wow. It was intense, but just in the most beautiful way. Number 8, this is like totally a far departure from what I was just talking about, but these were just the way that things were coming to me in my head as I was on the plane. Take pictures with the people you admire, or even if you, going around Salem, there are a lot of store owners. There are a lot of different people that, I've maybe watched or been interested in through social media, or John from the Salem Witchboard Museum that I met through the podcast. It was a true goal of mine to go around and get pictures with these people because it's so meaningful to me. Yes, there were times when I felt like a big dork asking someone to take a picture with me. Like, they don't know who the hell I am, but who cares? It doesn't matter. It was important to me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get out of my own way and I'm just going to ask. And every single person was so beautiful and so gracious and actually so excited to take a picture with me. And I thought that was just the absolute best. Every day, this is number 9. Every day I had to make sure that I took some downtime to process. I had to go back to my room. I had to do some journaling. I had to do some relaxing and just process that day, because especially when there's a lot of different things going on and a lot of different emotions, you need to process that. And then you need to kind of figure out a way to hold space for that in your world. So that was huge. Number 10, if you meet people you really connect with, you need to make sure to stay in touch. Make that effort to keep communicating with them, because that will only grow your bond further. I mean, I know that there were these 3 women that I really connected with on the trip. We only had like very small bits of time to even chat during the trip. So now we've kept that conversation going, and we have like this group chat that we are chatting regularly in. And it's so fun because we're basically, all of us are just still like, we're totally just getting to know each other. And I love that. I love that discovery phase. It feels so cool. I love learning new things about people. I love learning what people like, what they don't like, what their interests are. We're all witches, but we're all witchy in different ways. We all have our aesthetic that we prefer. And I think that's so cool. We're all different, but we share this little common, that like this common bond. And oh my gosh, that is just incredible. I think I felt so, for me, number 11, just being in a place that was totally my vibe, being around so many unique individuals that shared a common thread just was like so expansive for me, because I'd never really experienced that before. So I think the takeaway on that is, if you have some niche interests that you like, or if you're a big time book reader, or, you know, whatever little thing it is that you like, or a big thing, it doesn't have to be a little thing. I shouldn't say those words, big or little, but whatever thing that you're into, find a reading retreat, find a yoga retreat, find, they have retreats literally for everything now. Find something that you can attend that will bring you around your people, because it was like, I didn't ever feel like I had to explain myself, because the baseline was what normally I would have to explain to people, but these people all understood that from the get-go. So that was really cool. Natasha, I want to give a huge shout out to Natasha, who was the retreat host. She is literally the sweetest, most down-to-earth person. She, it seems like potentially, she has a huge following on Instagram. She's at Natasha Rosilko on Instagram. I think she has TikTok and Facebook and all of the things. She's got a huge following. So a lot of us had said to her, like, we kind of felt intimidated to meet you because you have this huge following, but you're just such a wonderful, down-to-earth person. And I loved that about her. I love that she is so uniquely herself. She has such a specific point of view on so many different things. She was very vulnerable with us about what she's going through in life. And it just made us all feel like we could connect on such a deeper level. And I definitely got photos with her because she's just such a vibe. I am hoping that we will be able to coordinate a time. I've talked to her, reached out to her about coming on the podcast, and I'm hoping that in the next, I don't know, however many months, we can coordinate a time to have her come on, because I think you guys would love to hear from her. She's just such an incredible woman. She's done so much by such a young age. She hosts these amazing retreats that are just next level. She does them in Salem. She has one coming up in New Orleans. They're all sold out. She's got all her retreats are sold out for the next 2 years. That's amazing. She's just got this huge online community. She has an online business. She's a 500-hour 500-hour trained yoga instructor. Just such a cool person. And she was just the best, honestly, just the best. So shout out to you, Natasha. Big kisses from me. And her friends were so lovely. Her best friend May was there. She was just so sweet. Her other really close friend Sinead was there, who also is a tattoo artist in Salem. I really loved Sinead. And then also Gina, she was the photographer. She was there, pregnant, taking our photos, having fun with us. That was awesome. One of my personal biggest takeaways is that don't accidentally leave to go on a trip without taking your medications. I left my, my antidepressant at home. So I ended up having to go off that like cold turkey on the trip. And it was a full moon. It was a lunar eclipse, and it was a very emotional trip. So that was interesting. I'm sure I could have gotten a refill on my medication while I was there, but I was like, oh, it'll be fine. It was fine, but I mean, those are not really medications that you're supposed to go off cold turkey. Especially like in a highly emotional situation. Probably contributed to why I was crying so much, but it was fine. I was like, oh my gosh, Ashleigh, seriously? Okay, so I only have a couple more, but number 14, date yourself. Date yourself. Take yourself on dates. You can do this where you live. You don't need to go on a retreat to do this. Take yourself out to dinner. Go out somewhere nice. Bring a journal, have a glass of wine. You don't have to wait for someone to take you. You don't. I can tell you when I went out to eat in Salem by myself, nobody looked at me weird. Nobody gave me a look like they felt sorry for me. There were a lot of other people eating by themselves. I had the best time just sitting there enjoying my food without getting interrupted a million times by my children. I had a beautiful a cocktail or a glass of wine. I had my journal. I was just totally in my element, and it felt absolutely amazing. Never once did I feel embarrassed. I didn't feel, I don't want people to look at me and feel sorry for me. None of that. And people don't. People eat out by themselves all the time now. If you've never done it, I really encourage you, challenge yourself to find somewhere nice to go out to eat by yourself. It is life-changing. Honestly, it is the best. And number 15, I don't know, maybe people are itinerary people, maybe you're not. But for me, I knew that this was going to be a very packed trip. So I had an itinerary going into the trip of all the stores that I wanted to go to, the things that I wanted to buy, the people I wanted to get pictures with, the people I wanted to connect with. And of course, I didn't accomplish every single thing, but for the most part, I got a lot done. And I'm so glad I had that itinerary, because then I was able to be like, check, 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 check. I got everything done. There were a couple things I wasn't able to get to, but that's okay. We'll be back. I'll be back again. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I want to share more about some of the things that I bought. I'm going to try to go through and take some photos of the things that I bought and just make a post on my Instagram. But if you ever want to travel to Salem, let me just say from the get-go, do not go in October. I know people want to go for Halloween. Don't go in October. Maybe if you're local and you know the tips and tricks of how to get around Salem in that month, but it is so packed. It was already getting really packed. And we were there at the very beginning of September. They didn't even have their Halloween decorations up yet. I mean, I can understand wanting to go one time in October to see all the Halloween decorations. Okay, I get that. If you are going to go, you need to plan at least 1 year in advance, if not more, because all of the hotels will sell out at least a year in advance. Make sure if you go, these are just some general tips that I learned last year when I went. Make sure if you're going to go closer to October, you have all of your restaurants that you want to go to, and make sure you get reservations. When I went this time, I didn't need reservations because it wasn't crazy busy yet. But when we went last year, I had reservations everywhere I wanted us to eat. Be mindful of parking. Salem is a small town. There's not much parking. I got very lucky on this trip because, it wasn't influxed with people yet. But if you just want to go to Salem because you want to be there and you don't really care about the Halloween stuff, there are plenty of off-season times to go that are beautiful. I honestly thought at the beginning of September, like when I went, was perfect. There were people. It was a little bit busy, but I was able to get into every shop that I wanted. I was able to get into every restaurant I wanted. I was able to find parking. There were no issues. It was awesome. What else would be a great tip? Yeah, just plan in advance. Know what you want to see, know what you want to do, get on Yelp, scope out what stores that you want to check out. You can reach out to me too if you have any specific questions about Salem, because now I've been there twice. I feel like I have a pretty good handle on it, and I have been to a lot of the stores there. So I know what stores are really good because I vetted all of these stores a lot online before I actually went to Salem. A new store that I went to this time that I absolutely love, that I got a lot of really cool stuff from. It's down near the wharf. It's called the Cauldron Black. Loved that store. My other favorites are House Witch, of course, Nocturne, awesome. The Black Veil, Black Craft. There's just so many. It's hard to list them all. And of course, Ravenstone. Ravenstone is a crystal metaphysical shop, but it's in Lynn, which is not Salem. It's like a town over. But that store is just next level gorgeous. I got the most beautiful piece of azurite from that shop. I got so many cool other things. And yeah, so we're in about 45 minutes now to me rambling on about Salem and all my takeaways. It was truly an expansive trip. Taylor, Justine, Kelly, oh my gosh, you girls. I'm so grateful that I met you. To any of the other women that I met on the retreat, I am so grateful to have met you too. I wish we had more time to connect. I would love to keep up our conversations, either online or send me your phone numbers, whatever. I would love to keep up the connection that I made with a lot of the other women there too. I'm just shouting those 3 out because those are the women that I spent the most time with. And they knew that I was going to shout them out today. I warned them in advance. So yeah, it was just so cool. And now us 4 women are planning potentially another trip in the future to go to maybe Savannah, Georgia, which, Savannah, that's where I recorded my second episode of this was it my second episode? Yeah, my second episode of this podcast from Savannah, Georgia, on the floor of my Airbnb closet. All right, friends. Well, that's a wrap. Reach out to me if you have any additional questions about Salem or retreats or Natasha, the retreat host. I would love to share her information with you. What else? I think that's all I've got for you guys. I got to get back to my son because he's been trying to bust into this room the entire time that I've been recording, and he's supposed to be napping, and it's been a hot mess. So till next time, guys, stay spooky. Bye. Thank you so much for jumping down the rabbit hole with me. If you connected with this episode in any way, I would love it if you could share it with a friend. Also, please tag me on social media. I'm at mystical.mama.ash or at Big Crystal Energy Podcast, mostly on Instagram. It helps so much getting my episodes out there and finding more magical, kooky, and spooky friends. Sending you all Big Crystal Energy. Cheers!